and I'm here to tell you about my experience in Bangladesh and how I made this new EP. Starts with sitting at home, not being particularly inspired about where things are at, and I get a phone call from my teacher, my Indian classical music teacher, and she says, "You've got to come out to Bangladesh for this wedding." So I say, "Okay, how am I going to afford that, you know?" And she's like, "You're coming. Let's just leave it at that." So I said, "Okay, great." And so the wedding's like a 3-day thing. She says, "Well, why don't you come for the whole month of December, and if you come for the month of December, then I can teach you, and you can sing and blah blah blah." So I'm thinking, great, I've got like a whole month to do this, to get into the Indian classical thing and to be with her. So I get there and have a couple of lessons with her over the course of a week, and then she's pretty much unavailable for the rest of the stay. So I'm there with not a whole lot to do. And there's this other musician, this tabla player called Nilesh, and he's waiting around to practice and rehearse with her, and there's not a whole lot going on for her either, for him either. So are we good?
Yeah, keep going.
So yeah, so we're kind of twiddling our thumbs, you know, trying to figure out what we're gonna do. And in the meantime, we're just practicing every day, and we start getting to know each other. Then slowly we get to know each other, and he says, "Well, would you like me to accompany you practicing Indian classical music?" And I said, "Great." So we play for about a week, we practice every day, and then I'm reaching the end of my Indian classical repertoire, and he starts to kind of poke his head around the door when I'm practicing my own music. So he says, "Oh, you know, can I come and sit, you know?" And I said, "Sit, come play." So we play, and you know, some things sound good. We're just jamming really to my songs. So it's a really distracting place, this fucking thing.
How much does it differ from Dhaka?
Dhaka's noisy. Dhaka's incredibly noisy. This is like nothing. This ringing of bells of the rickshaws they're riding around, and there's thousands of these things on the street. So yeah, it's a lot cleaner here than Dhaka as well. We were on like the 18th floor, and the air pollution was just insane, you know. You're guaranteed a respiratory infection within the first week, and then you just build up a tolerance to it. So we didn't go out that much. We went out to go and eat at a like family member's house, you know, try some different food and stuff. But for the most part, we were kind of stuck inside. And to what better way to use the time than to play music? Well, I started making this record in New York, and a kind of a typical way, the way I was making music probably 2 or 3 years before that, which is kind of layering guitar and vocal, and it wasn't that organic, it wasn't really flowing, but I had no way of really anticipating this kind of experience happening in Bangladesh, because I didn't plan it. I wasn't trying to make a world music record, or I wasn't trying to make something that I didn't even go there with the intention of making anything, actually, other than just kind of getting into the music and on my own. So playing with another musician, I mean, the great thing about it was that Nilesh, this tabla player, is a fantastic musician, and I understand a little bit about the tabla, and I can explain to him what it is that I was what I thought he could do in order to work to make a sound together. Yeah, I suppose it just kind of happened naturally, you know. I didn't, even now I don't think of it as a fusion record or anything, you know. It's just two guys who know how to play. We're just from very different musical backgrounds. I think that if I'd gone there with an intention to make something like that, it would have had some kind of preconceived notion about it, and would have ended up being controlled in a way that it didn't need to be, because the music was at its best at that point, before he even got involved. So we're basically practicing every day for about 3 weeks, and then people start hearing about this project. They start coming down to our room and checking it out, listening, and they said, you know, we should have you play at one of these events, one of these parties. So we said, okay, great, that's great. We can work towards that and get a little set together. So we played, and people, they all loved it. They just loved the sound. And this guy, Shafi, comes up to us at the end and says, man, you guys are just gonna do this like this and then just leave? You got to do something with this. What are you guys going to do? What are you planning on doing? We're like, well, we're just making music, you know. And he's like, well, have you thought about recording this? And I said, well, yeah, kind of, maybe, but you know, I'm leaving the day after tomorrow. I mean, you know, I'm not really connected in Dhaka like that. And he said, let me make a phone call. So he calls me the next morning and says, you're booked in a studio across the street for the whole day. Let's make a record. So we are like, wow, what a great opportunity. And that's how it came about. So we piled down into the studio and set up a few mics and record exactly what we've been practicing for 3 weeks, which is why from start to finish the music has a flow, and we're not playing to a metronome. It just has a natural pull and push to it. So it's a very natural music, this record. It's not contrived. We're not playing to a click track. We're not trying to make it perfect. We basically just captured this craft that we'd worked on. So I think that's why the record really works well, is because it's a representation of something that was really really good in a very simple way already. You know, it didn't need to be messed with too much. So yeah, we got 5 songs down, and it's really energized me and my music, and the circles around, the people around me are really interested in how it came about. So it's serendipitous, to say the least.